Imagine waking up every morning and, before you even step out of bed, feeling that almost irresistible compulsion to reach for your cell phone. You scroll endlessly, lost in a sea of notifications, likes, and comments. It's a common scene, isn't it? But have you ever stopped to think about the impact that this routine can have on your emotional, your mind, and even your soul? We are living in a hyperconnected world, where social networks, which are supposed to bring us closer together, are actually taking us away from ourselves. Increasingly, we get lost in unrealistic comparisons, unattainable standards, and an endless cycle of searching for external validation. And the danger is greater than it seems. The dangers of social networks are no longer a novelty. We've all heard about the negative effects: anxiety, depression, insomnia, and even a growing sense of loneliness, even though we're connected to thousands of people. But what we often overlook is that no one is immune to these pitfalls, and the risk is even more serious for young people. They are growing up in an environment where reality is often distorted, where life seems to be measured in likes and followers. As parents, guardians, or even as part of a society that cares about the future, it is our duty to protect the most vulnerable from these toxic influences. We need to ensure that the next generations are not raised with alienated minds, unable to face real life with resilience and wisdom. But how can we prevent these social networks from controlling us? How to shield ourselves, and protect those we love, from the traps they impose on us daily? Today, we will explore together not only the problems and dangers of this digital universe, but also how we can use the ancient teachings of Stoicism to create healthy habits capable of strengthening us emotionally. In the end, we will discuss 9 essential habits, inspired by Stoic philosophy, that will help you resist these influences, preserving your mental and emotional health, and teaching you to live more fully and consciously, even in the midst of such a chaotic and connected world. This video is more than a reflection, it's a practical guide for anyone looking to achieve ataraxia, the peace of mind that the ancient Stoics valued so much, but which seems so difficult to achieve these days. Throughout this content, we will understand what is really at stake, why we need to act now, and how we can apply these practices in our daily lives. You will discover that it is possible to live in balance, without letting yourself be dominated by this digital tide that threatens to engulf us. And by the end of the video, you'll not only have the tools to protect your own mind, but also to help those around you find that much-needed balance. The dangers of social networks. We have reached a critical point in our reflection, where it is essential to delve deeper into the dangers that social networks represent for our daily lives. It's not just a matter of overuse or wasting time online. We are talking about issues that directly affect our ability to live fully, presently, and in line with Stoic principles. Let's start with distraction and loss of focus. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by notifications, messages, and updates, staying focused on a single task has become a daily battle. Excessive use of social media conditions us to jump from one distraction to another, eroding our ability to focus on what really matters. The Stoics taught that concentration and mental discipline are pillars for a virtuous life. Without these qualities, we are like boats adrift, aimless in a sea of superficial information. The mind that should be focused on its own development and meaningful tasks is fragmented by constant distractions. Lack of focus not only reduces our productivity, but also distances us from a state of mental tranquility, one of the greatest Stoic values. Without concentration, we lose the ability to reflect deeply, to connect with our own essence, and to act with purpose. Harmful comparison is another silent poison that social networks inoculate into our minds. By scrolling through a feed full of carefully curated images and seemingly perfect lives, we are driven to constantly compare ourselves to others. The comparison, which was already a dangerous trap before the digital age, is now amplified to unbearable levels. The Stoics warned us about the danger of measuring our worth by external standards. For them, true progress is internal and personal. When we compare ourselves to others, we divert our attention from what really matters, our own growth. Feelings of inadequacy, envy, and dissatisfaction arise when we do not value our unique and personal progress. This incessant comparison not only undermines our self-esteem, but also prevents us from seeing the value of small daily victories, which are the true thermometer of a life well lived. Emotional dependence is another trap that lurks behind the bright screen of our devices. We constantly seek external validation, in the form of likes, comments, and shares. This reliance on digital approval is dangerous, as it conditions our happiness and self-esteem to something outside of our control, something the Stoics have always advised us to avoid. Self-sufficiency, a central virtue in Stoicism, is sacrificed when we become slaves to the opinion of others. When our peace of mind depends on the approval of others, we become vulnerable to emotional swings and lose control over our own happiness. The Stoics teach us that true happiness comes from within, from the certainty that we are living according to our principles and values, and not from external recognition, which is as volatile as the wind. Envy and moral judgment are other grim consequences of this constant exposure to the lives of others on social media. By observing other people's achievements and happy moments, it's easy to fall into the trap of envy. We compare ourselves, judge ourselves, and often come to belittle what we have in our own lives. However, the Stoic view teaches us to practice compassion and acceptance. Instead of judging or envying, we should focus on our own journey and understand that everyone's life is unique and full of invisible challenges. Envy only consumes us from within, preventing us from finding peace and fulfillment in our own lives. In addition, moral judgment, fueled by the distance that the internet creates, takes us even further away from understanding and empathy, essential values for a harmonious and fair coexistence. Social isolation is one of the cruelest ironies of the hyperconnected world. We spend so much time on our devices, superficially interacting with people, that we often forget the importance of real human connections. Excessive time spent on social media takes us away from face-to-face interactions, which are critical to our emotional well-being. Stoicism deeply values human connections, recognizing that our happiness is intrinsically linked to the quality of our relationships. When we isolate ourselves socially, we miss out on the opportunity to learn, grow, and share our lives with others. This disconnect leads to a sense of loneliness, even when we are connected all the time, and weakens the bonds that sustain our community life. Damage to health, both physical and mental, is an inevitable consequence of technology addiction. Hours on end in front of screens, lack of physical activity, sleep problems, and constant stress are just some of the negative impacts that this behavior can have on our health. Stoicism teaches us to take care of both the body and the mind, recognizing that both are essential for a balanced and virtuous life. Ignoring our health for the sake of a digital addiction is a betrayal of ourselves. The body and mind are temples that must be cared for with discipline and respect. When we neglect our health, we are compromising our ability to live fully and achieve the peace of mind we so desire. Finally, disconnection from reality is perhaps the most insidious effect of social media. When we immerse ourselves in this digital world, we run the risk of disconnecting from physical reality and the face-to-face interactions that give us meaning and purpose. Stoicism teaches us to be present, to live in the moment, to appreciate the world around us with all its challenges and beauties. Being present is central to Stoic practice, as it is only in the here and now that we can exercise virtue, make conscious decisions, and live according to our values. When we disconnect from reality, we get lost in a world of superficiality and illusions, where true happiness and meaning are impossible to achieve. Social networks, if used without discernment and control, can take us away from a virtuous and full life. They distract us, lead us to unhealthy comparisons, make us emotionally dependent, and disconnect us from reality. However, by bringing these dangers to the surface, we have the opportunity to reverse these effects and to realign ourselves with the Stoic principles of concentration, self-sufficiency, compassion, and presence. By recognizing these risks and acting consciously to mitigate their effects, we can regain control over our lives and move toward the ataraxia, the peace of mind we all crave. Having explored the numerous challenges and dangers that social media can bring to our lives, it is natural that the question arises, how can we protect ourselves from these pitfalls and, more importantly, how can we utilize these same spaces in a way that promotes our growth and well-being? The answer, as the Stoics have long taught us, lies not in running away from these tools, but in facing them with wisdom, self-awareness, and a dedication to the cultivation of the virtues. From now on, let's dive into the practical and profound solutions that Stoic philosophy offers us to navigate through this sea of distractions and find our balance in the midst of a hyperconnected world. Cultivate self-awareness. The first step towards this transformation is to cultivate self-awareness. We live in a world where our attention is constantly bombarded and manipulated. Social media, in particular, is designed to capture and maintain our focus, often without us even realizing it. This is where self-awareness becomes crucial. Developing the ability to observe our own thoughts and emotions while using these platforms is the first step to regaining control. The Stoics believe that self-knowledge is the basis of all virtue. When we become aware of our impulses, our reactions, and the feelings that arise when interacting online, we begin to notice harmful patterns. Imagine you're at work or home, and during a break, you decide to open Instagram or Facebook, just to take a quick look. Suddenly, you find yourself scrolling the feed for 20-30 minutes, without noticing the time passing. When he finally looks at his watch, he realizes that he has lost precious time that could have been dedicated to an important task or even a moment of true rest. In this scenario, self-awareness would be that moment when you pick up your cell phone, ask yourself, why am I doing this now? Am I really interested in the content, or am I just trying to distract myself? When you realize that your action is being driven by an automatic impulse, you give yourself a chance to stop, breathe, and consciously decide what to do next. Maybe you still choose to stay on social media, but this time with a clear intention, or maybe you decide to close the app and get back to focusing on what really matters. That little pause of self-awareness can be the first step to regaining control over your choices and your time. Self-reflection and control. Think of an average day when, first thing in the morning, you are already connected to your cell phone, checking notifications, answering messages, and browsing social networks. Without realizing it, you start to react automatically to what you see, perhaps a post that arouses envy, a news story that generates anxiety, or a comment that provokes irritation. Throughout the day, these feelings accumulate, affecting your mood, your productivity, and even the way you interact with others. But in the fast pace of modern life, it's easy to let these moments slip through the cracks. This is where the practice of self-reflection and control becomes essential. By taking a specific time at the end of the day to review your digital interactions, you begin to gain clarity on the impact these online experiences are having on you. Ask yourself, how did I feel scrolling through social media today? Were there times when I let myself be carried away by negative impulses? Did my online reactions reflect who I really am or want to be? These simple but powerful questions help bring to light automatic behaviors that, without reflection, can erode your well-being and distance you from your values. For example, if when you reflect you realize that you have spent too much time consuming content that has provoked comparisons or feelings of inadequacy, you may make the decision to reduce your time on certain platforms, or even to unfollow profiles that do not add value to your life. Another preventive action can be to set clear limits for the use of social networks, such as setting specific times to connect or practicing digital detox in times of greater stress. Detachment and focus on the essential. We live in a world where the pressure to always be connected is immense. The cell phone seems like a magnet that pulls us at all times, demanding our attention and promising a constant sense of novelty. But as we sink into these digital distractions, we forget something fundamental, the value of what really matters. Imagine the following scenario: you're on a date with friends or a family gathering, but your gaze often drifts to your phone screen. Every notification, every like, seems more urgent than the smile of the person in front of you. This behavior is not just a distraction, it is a symptom of a deep dependence that distances us from what really brings value and meaning to our lives. Detachment and focus on the essentials are Stoic concepts that invite us to reflect on what really contributes to our well-being and growth. Instead of getting lost in the relentless search for external validation and comparison to the seemingly perfect lives of others, Stoicism teaches us to prioritize what really matters. This means releasing the need to always be online and focusing on what brings true satisfaction and purpose. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect. How much time did you spend seeking validation on social media? How did it impact your interaction with the people around you? These questions are key to starting to cultivate a sense of control over our digital actions. If you find that you're putting real life on the back burner, take conscious action to change that. Set limits on cell phone use and value face-to-face interactions more. When you learn to let go of digital distractions and focus on the essentials, you begin to reconnect with what truly brings you satisfaction. Value your real relationships, your passions, and meaningful projects. These are the real treasures that enrich your life and provide a sense of authentic purpose. Value human connections. In the frenetic pace of modern life, it's easy to get carried away by the quick and superficial connections provided by social media. Imagine a typical day. You start in the morning, checking your messages and updates, and throughout the day, you're constantly engaged in digital interactions. Likes, comments, and messages become the measure of your social engagement, while actual interactions with friends and family become increasingly sparse. These virtual connections often replace genuine human contact. Instead of sharing a meal with friends or sitting down with family for a deep conversation, you end up interacting with profiles and posts that offer only a semblance of connection. This can leave you feeling lonely, even surrounded by a plethora of digital interactions. The Stoics remind us that we are social beings by nature and that our genuine relationships are essential to our well-being and personal growth. When we replace these real interactions with superficial connections, we lose something precious, the support, understanding, and growth that only comes from true relationships. To counterbalance this, it's important to make a conscious effort to prioritize face-to-face interactions. For example, instead of spending the night browsing feeds and responding to messages, how about making time for an actual get-together with friends or family? Plan a meeting for coffee, dinner, or even a walk in the park. These real experiences provide a much richer and more satisfying connection. Also, invest in cultivating these relationships. Ask yourself, am I really dedicating time and energy to strengthening the bonds that are important to me? If the answer is no, make changes. Disconnect from the digital world for a moment and focus on being present for the people around you. Listen carefully, share experiences, and show genuine interest. By prioritizing these genuine interactions, you not only reinforce the bonds that really matter, but you also build a solid support network that can help you navigate life's challenges with more resilience. True human connections are the foundation on which we build our emotional strength and our ability to face adversity. Value them, and you'll find a source of support and growth that no social network can offer. Remember, at the end of the day, what truly enriches our lives are the authentic relationships we cultivate and the time we dedicate to them. By embracing this Stoic vision and prioritizing genuine social engagement, you create a richer, fuller life, away from digital distractions and closer to what really matters. Balance and moderation. In the fast-paced digital world, it's easy to lose control and let technology take over our time and energy. With each notification, we are drawn back to social media, and soon we are immersed in a flood of information and updates. The result is a constant feeling of being connected, but at the same time, of being disconnected from what really matters. Here comes the wisdom of the Stoic principles of balance and moderation. They teach us to live harmoniously, avoiding extremes and finding a middle ground that preserves our inner peace. In the context of technology, this means establishing a conscious relationship with social networks, rather than being consumed by them. To apply these principles in practice, start by setting specific times to use your social networks. Instead of getting carried away by endless scrolling throughout the day, set aside specific moments to check your updates. By doing this, you create space to dedicate more time to activities that truly nourish your mind and body, such as reading a book, exercising, or meditating. These activities help to rebalance your life and strengthen your well-being. In addition, moderation involves not only the amount of time spent online, but also the quality of your digital interactions. Instead of getting lost in a plethora of superficial posts and updates, look for connections and content that truly add value to your life. This may mean following profiles that inspire and educate, and avoiding those that fuel unnecessary comparisons and distractions. The search for an authentic purpose. In the midst of the vastness of the digital world, it's easy to get lost in a sea of distractions and superficialities. Social networks offer us a multitude of options and stimuli, but often these interactions can leave a void, as they do not offer a true purpose. Imagine your day being dominated by status updates, news feeds, and instant messaging, while the sense of personal fulfillment seems increasingly distant. The search for authentic purpose is a powerful way to confront this digital alienation. When your life is grounded in meaningful purpose, which truly reflects your deepest values and aspirations, digital distractions lose the ability to overpower your attention and energy. Stoicism teaches us that finding authentic purpose means engaging in actions that contribute to the greater good, in projects that challenge your personal growth, and in relationships that inspire you to become a better person. Consider the difference a clear purpose can make. Instead of getting lost in a never-ending rotation of digital content, you start directing your energy to activities and projects that have a real, positive impact. For example, if you're dedicated to a creative project or social cause that's important to you, technology becomes a tool to support and promote those goals, rather than an end in itself. Having an authentic purpose also helps you stay focused on what really matters. When your actions are aligned with your personal values and goals, you use social media with intention and clarity, rather than getting carried away by constant distractions. Not only does this improve the quality of your time online, but it also strengthens your sense of accomplishment and personal satisfaction. Additionally, by building relationships based on common purpose and shared values, you create a support network that enriches your life and offers a constant source of inspiration and motivation. These true connections help keep you grounded and oriented, even in a digital world that can be confusing and often empty. Therefore, by pursuing authentic purpose, you transform the way you interact with the digital world. Social media becomes tools that you use consciously to support your goals and values, rather than distractions that take you away from what really matters. This alignment with meaningful purpose helps to avoid the alienation and emptiness often associated with the rampant use of digital media, offering a path to a richer and fuller life. Value your personal progress. Imagine an ordinary day, when you wake up, face the commute to work and deal with the demands of everyday life. During this process, it's easy to get lost in insidious comparisons. The colleague next door who always seems to be more successful, the friend who travels the world and shares her achievements on social media. These thoughts can turn into a torturous cycle, draining your energy and overshadowing your accomplishments. But what if instead of looking away, you looked inside? By valuing your own progress, rather than leaning on the precarious scales of comparison, you begin to realize that every step you take, no matter how small, is part of your unique journey. Think of the small victories that often go unnoticed, completing a project that was stuck, finding time to exercise, or even simply taking a moment to breathe and relax after a stressful day. Each of these actions is a statement that you are moving forward. Stoicism teaches us that true success is defined by our commitment to our personal development. By focusing on your own achievements, you free yourself from the pressure to live up to the standards that other people set. You are the author of your story, and you should celebrate every page you write. This change in focus brings not only a sense of satisfaction, but also emotional strengthening. When you stop looking at what others are doing, you realize that you are not in competition with anyone but yourself. This doesn't mean that you'll become indifferent to others, but rather that you'll cultivate a safe space within yourself where your victories have value. Imagine a day when, instead of feeling dejected by the comparison, you wake up with the intention of accomplishing small goals, perhaps dedicating a few minutes to an activity you love or practicing gratitude for everything you have achieved. Take a deep breath now and visualize your life as a constant journey of growth. Each day, resolve to be better than you were yesterday. This causes the weight of the outside world to become light, and you feel empowered by your own determination. Remember, true joy is not in being the best in the world, but in being the best version of yourself. And by valuing your progress, you not only free yourself from the shadow of comparison, but light your way, creating a life filled with meaning and purpose. Manage your time and attention. Imagine your day. You wake up and, even before you get up, you already find yourself trapped in a cycle of information. You check social networks, read messages, and get lost in content that, deep down, may not add value to your life. By taking a mindful approach, you can break free from this trap. With techniques such as mindfulness practice, you learn to be present, to value each moment, and to feel the reality around you. It's like taking a step back and watching the scene from the stage of your life, where you're the protagonist. Establishing clear priorities is another powerful tool in this process. When you define what's truly important to you, whether it's a professional goal, family time, or mental health care, you equip yourself with the ability to achieve your true aspirations, letting go of fleeting temptations. Imagine that you decide to dedicate an hour of your day to read a book you've always wanted, or to meditate, allowing these moments to be true refuges from the rush and superficiality that often dominate our routines. By managing your time consciously, you not only prevent your days from being filled with meaningless tasks, but you also ensure that your actions reflect your own values and goals. The result of this is constant growth, a life that aligns more and more with who you want to be. You end up feeling more fulfilled, more connected with yourself and others. Thus, by mastering this skill of paying attention to what really matters, you are not only distancing yourself from distractions, but also embracing a way of living that is more authentic and present. It is a journey of self-knowledge, where you intentionally choose how to spend your time, making each day not just another day on the calendar, but a new opportunity to get closer to your dreams and values. In the end, what really counts is not how much you do, but how your time is filled with meaning and purpose, making each day nothing short of extraordinary. Cultivate self-awareness. When we look around us, we realize that we are immersed in a sea of distractions. Social media grabs our attention every second, but it's crucial to remember that the true depth of life lies in the experiences that really matter. Cultivating self-awareness is the first step in this journey. By becoming more aware of our thoughts and emotions, we are able to discern what aligns us with our true passions and values, making decisions that reflect our authentic selves. Practicing self-reflection allows us to examine our experiences with a critical and gentle eye. Imagine taking a few minutes at the end of the day to reflect on what you learned, how you felt, and what you could do differently. This practice can be revealing, illuminating areas of your life that need adjustment or attention, and helping you to disengage from the superficialities that often dominate our interactions. Detachment from distractions is a challenge, but it is vital. Learning to silence external noise provides us with a space to meaningfully connect with others. By redefining our priorities and nurturing personal relationships, we find richness in human interactions. A simple meeting with a friend or a deep conversation can re-energize us, bringing out a sense of belonging and love that stands out amid the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Applying moderation, whether in the consumption of information or in the search for fun, is another essential skill. Instead of allowing digital to consume our hours, we can choose how and when to engage, always seeking experiences that nourish us spiritually and emotionally. It also allows us to pursue authentic purpose. By integrating what really matters in our lives, we start to live more intentionally, building a legacy that resonates with who we really are. Stoicism offers us a clear guide in the midst of this chaos, helping us achieve an inner balance that is reflected in all areas of our lives. By applying these principles, we not only safeguard our mind and spirit, but also create a space for a richer, more conscious existence. And so, in the midst of the chaos of a hyperconnected world, true peace lies not in running away, but in dominating. Ataraxia, this undisturbed serenity, is not an unattainable state, but a conscious choice we make every day. Remember, you have the power to shape your reality, to choose what deserves your attention and what strengthens your soul. Don't let distractions steal your essence. If this journey resonated with you, don't stop here. Explore the next videos I've prepared, where we'll continue to unlock the secrets to a fuller, more conscious, and truer life. I'll wait for you in the next video.